A closer look at landscape photography by Allysan Jones. When I say the phrase landscape photography, what comes to mind? Is it the history behind landscape photography? Is it a beautiful mountain range in the fall when all the leaves are changing colors, or a rundown part of a city where some people would not dare to go? I can bet most of you would say it is a beautiful mountain range in the fall when the leaves are changing colors. Truth is, there's a lot more to landscape photography than most people know about. I was in that group until I read the article by Deborah Bright. Among a middle-class educated audience, landscape is thought of as a wholesome and upbeat subject. Landscape images need to be taken seriously and not for granted like some people do. Some think that the landscape will always look the way it does, and there will always be a chance to capture the scene another time. That is not true at all. In Europe, in the 17th and 18th century, landscape paintings only consisted of elaborate and beautiful gardens that were suited for gods and heroes. The rise of the merchant in Holland in the 17th century brought about a new form of landscape. This took light to property ownership, a more natural landscape. Some examples of that would be the farmer's field and a fisherman's boat. The English definition for landscape first only referred to Dutch paintings. Later it became known as a prospect or view. The railroad, believe it or not, had a huge impact on landscape photography out west. For landscape photographers and nature lovers, the railroad was a great way to travel and get a great view of the landscape. The railroad would promote how great the views of landscape were on the train to compete for the people's money. During the 1920s, the government started to publish a national parks portfolio, giving the people their first look of Yosemite and Yellowstone. Here in this picture, we see people waiting to board the train in the 1920s. Around the same time the railroad was trying to grow their business, the automobile industry was taking off. People who had the luxury of an automobile wanted to view the landscape and scenery of the parks, but needed a way to do so. The Park Service's Landscape Architecture Division had to start working on roadways and even develop pullover spots to stop and enjoy the views. Some say during this time nature was redesigned to meet middle-class wants. During this time is when landscape photography really took off and became a good business to get into. In 1908, the 11 national parks seen 69,000 tourists. In just 20 years, that number grew to over 3 million with the expansion of the railroad and the takeoff of the automobile industry. Here we see President Theodore Roosevelt at the Grand Canyon National Park in 1908. With more and more travel out west happening, it became a popular scene for movies. In the 1920s, cowboy movies became a movie genre due to the popularity of the Western theme and landscape. The Western landscape became a popular setting for things other than movies, like cigarette ads and president campaigns. Here we see a picture of the filming of the Roundup in Long Pine, California in 1920. In Rockwell's picture Small Town American, he is trying to show what the average small town America is like. You see in the picture Main Street where all the businesses are located. We are supposed to get the feel that practical people live and work in this town, that people are up on Sunday mornings to go to church and then back to a family member's house for Sunday dinner. Rockwell wanted to capture your picture perfect small town American life in one picture. I agree with Deborah's statement in her article that when a photographer wants to portray that big of an image in one photograph, they are putting a lot at stake. When a photographer takes a picture of a street in a small town and wants people to get the image of an All-American out of that is a big task. I think that Rockwell did a great job getting his point across in his picture. I can relate to Rockwell's picture because I live in a small town like the one he is portraying. We have one main street that all our businesses are located on. We have one grocery store and one flashing light. We are that all-American small town. To the right, you see a picture of our water tower that I have taken. Zarkowski, a landscape photographer, came up with new photography vocabulary that is still used today. Those words are detail, time, vantage point, and frame. Detail is an individual, fact, item, or feature. Time is putting an event in sequential order. Vantage point is a place at which something is viewed, typically the best viewing place. Frame is the area in which one is photographing. In today's modern era, landscape is taken for granted. Landscape photographers are not looking at landscape like a set stage, they just look at it as a condition of the earth that will be there forever. Landscape is forever changing, and to be a good landscape photographer, you need to live in the moment and take the photographs when you are given the opportunity. Do not wait. I am nowhere near a professional photographer, but if I see a picture-perfect landscape, I will stop the car on the side of the road just to capture the moment. I very much enjoyed what Louis Baltz had to say about the modern era of landscape photography. He quoted, "The landscape seems more of a set of conditions, a location where things and events might transpire rather than a given thing or event itself. An arena or circumstances within which an open set of possibilities might be induced to play themselves out."